a duality that's believed here. So you may have heard, as above, so below. So as the energies above, so the actions or what happens below. So the influence of the heavens, the influence of what goes on in the sky, and how it influences us here, how it influences personality, how it influences actions and events and things here on Earth. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to our first video in the Astrology Notes series. So for those of you guys that have been following along on Instagram, you know that more recently in the last couple of months, I've taken a really big deep dive into the study of my birth chart and other people's charts and into astrology in general. I've enjoyed astrology for a very long time. The first time I ever pulled my birth chart or did a synastry chart with another person, or even had an astrology reading, I was in my very early 20s, probably like 22 or around that age. And so for a very long time, like, astrology has been something that I like hobby about. But getting even more deeply into it, I've been learning a ton, and I really have been having this like sort of itch to come here and just share what I've been learning with you guys. Those of you that have been on this channel for a while, you probably seen a little bit ago I did a folder that I put together called Astro Notes, and it might have been like a year or two ago even. And when I put that particular folder together, my entire plan in making the Astro Notes folder was to start sharing those astrology notes on the channel. And it didn't pick up, like I didn't end up going that much like in depth into anything, and so on and so forth. Anyways, life circumstances has its way of bringing you back to things, and if that's even it, because clearly in my chart, this would be right on track in being a part of something that I'm supposed to be doing. Even more so, the reason why I'm here. I feel like I hoard information, and that's not right. We do not learn things to hoard the information, right? So I'm here to share information with you guys. Today, we're gonna be talking about birth charts. Whether you are a astrology hobbyist like myself, a researcher, an experienced astrologer even, or just one of my oldie but goodies that's here to learn something new, let's get into it. So your birth chart is basically the blueprint of your life. In traditional astrology, your birth chart is the blueprint. It is the outline. It's even believed that a person can't even go through certain experiences if they're not outlined in that birth chart. So it's literally your blueprint. And what happens is all the planets are always moving. They are in transit. And at the very moment you were born, it's like the snapshot where everything was at that very moment. And this is really, really, really important, because this is what makes every person different. This is what makes two people that are both Libras, two completely different people. This could be the reason why sometimes maybe you're a Capricorn, but you feel like everything that's always said about Capricorns has like shit to do with you. All the planets and all of their placements make up the totality of the person and their life's experiences, their journey in this life. It's also believed that this imprint, right, it comes upon you at the first breath. So when a baby is born, when they take that first breath and they come into life, they breathe in this imprint, right, of the path, of the journey that they're going to be on. And so all of that is seen basically through the ascendant. So we will literally get into all of that. I want to just kind of make this bite-sized so that it's really understandable. And again, I'm just sharing the stuff that I've learned. So I encourage you to go do your own research if you want any further in-depth information, but let's continue. When you were born at a specific place, right? A longitude, a latitude, and a very specific time, as well as the date. This is what ends up giving the blueprint of your life. So everybody knows what their sun sign is for the most part. We know that the month that you were born is the key to your sun sign. So what ends up happening is at the time of your birth, this picture of where everything was basically imprints as your personality. Your birth chart is not generalized. It is a very specific imprint of you. If the moon was in the sign of Cancer, you are going to have a different way that you emotionally think and that you process emotions and that you go through life. You're going to have a different connection to your home, to your family, to the things related to Cancer in the 4th house than a person who could have even been born on the same, maybe not the same day, but as the moon stays in the same spot, but then a person who is born with their moon in the sign of Aries, for example, which would be completely different than that Cancer energy. So it's really important that you have your location of where you were born, the exact time that you were born, and of course the day that you were born, your birthday. Those are the 3 components of pulling a birth chart that you absolutely need for complete accuracy. So what happens when a person doesn't have their birth time, you can have your chart, I think, rectified, I think that's what it's called, to sort of get the accuracy correct. But when you don't have your correct birth time, you can use noon as a reference point, 12 p.m., but that basically changes the rising. So about every 2 hours, the way that the earth and planets and everything is moving, the way that the wheel is going, every 2 hours there's a different sign rising. Well, the true importance in that is that the ascendant sign is literally the path in which you're gonna go. And I like to think of this in terms of like a video game, and we're choosing characters, and let's say I'm gonna enter the game as Gemini Ascendant today. Well, Gemini Ascendant has a specific path in life. Gemini Ascendant has a specific purpose, and they're going to maneuver things differently. Also, your ascendant sign sets up the way that your houses are going to be. So if my ascendant is in Gemini, let's say that makes Gemini my 1st house, okay? Then every other house is going to follow in order after that, going 1 to 12. But if I'm a Pisces ascendant, well, Pisces represents the 12th house. Now that's Pisces being on the ascendant, that puts Pisces as the 1st house, which means my 2nd house will be Aries, 3rd house will be Taurus, so on and so forth. So all of this influences the life and the path and the direction of the individual of the birth chart. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at an actual birth chart just to give you some point of reference. Okay, my friends, so here we have a birth chart. This is pretty much what a birth chart looks like, or this is also considered a natal chart or a natal wheel. And this is basically a mandala. This is the sky. This is our viewpoint here from Earth. So looking up into the sky, then here's how everything is situated. And so what you have is the sky 360 degrees, and then it's broken up into 30-degree houses, and there are 12 of them. And so each of these lines that divide each of these houses is called a house cusp. So every single chart, when we open it up, we look for the ascendant. That's one of the most important parts of the chart. You have your sun sign, which is the sun symbol right here. You have your moon sign, which is your moon symbol, and then you have your ascendant. So that's what you hear everybody talking about. What are your big 3? That's what your big 3 are basically made up of: your sun, your moon, and your ascendant. But the most important thing about your ascendant is this is the point in which you basically enter into the world. You are born as a baby, coming into the 1st house, the ascendant, which is yourself. And so this sign and this particular degree sets the tone for how you're going to go through the course of your life, right? It sets up what kind of things are going to be important to you. And also, like I was saying before, it sets up how your houses are laid out. So for this Virgo ascendant, the Virgo is on the 1st house cusp. Their 2nd house is Libra. Their 3rd house is Scorpio. This person's 4th house is Sagittarius. Their 5th house is Capricorn. Their 6th house is Aquarius. And so on, all the way around the natal wheel until you get to the 12th house, which is Leo. However, in the natal wheel, I think it's called the natal wheel. So however, in the natal wheel, or in the original traditional standard wheel, the first house is occupied by Aries, and then it goes to Taurus, and then it goes to Gemini, and so on all the way down. And the 12th house of the natural zodiac is Pisces. So that is very, very, very important, the ascendant, because the ascendant literally lays the foundation for what each of your houses, basically the lens through how you view life in each one of these houses. Then you have all of these little symbols right here, and we will go through and actually learn these. But all of these little symbols are the planets. So you have the sun, you have the moon, you have Mercury, you have Venus, you have Mars, you have Jupiter, you have Lord Shani or Saturn, you have Uranus, you have Neptune, and you have Pluto. So these are all the planets, and then each of these little numbers are the degree of the house in which this zodiac is in. So this particular Jupiter is at 8 degrees of Capricorn in this person's 4th house. In this Placidus chart, probably this would be in their 5th house, or even in their 3rd house in the whole signs. Now there are also different formats or layouts you can use. This is a Placidus chart. I have been learning, and as I'm learning, I find that the whole sign chart is a lot easier. I cannot say whether it's more accurate or anything at this point because, again, I am a student, not so much a professional here, so I really don't know. I haven't studied enough or looked at enough charts to make a difference or like a proper comparison for myself. This little guy right here is Chiron. This is our wounded healer. This is one of the signs that I really want to work with and really want to maybe do a series around, because this is the one right here that if you're doing self-help, if you're looking to change your life, if you're trying to get shit right and fix shit, you got to know where those wounds are and know that they're innate and that it's not your fault and that you can work through it so that you can help heal other people. So that's what Chiron is about. And then this guy right here is your North Node, and North Node is not really a planet. These are the nodes of the moon, but this is the North Node, which the South Node would end up being over here in the 3rd. These are always directly opposite one another, and the North Node is like your destiny, where you're headed, what you're in this life to move toward, and the South Node is what you were innately born with, and the things that you're moving away from. Now, everybody's planets are placed differently, which is what makes everybody's chart completely different. So for this particular individual, all of their planets are pretty much placed in these bottom, in these lower houses. All of this is under the horizon. These are all more like internal things. The 2nd house has to deal with your values and your finances and your money and your comforts, and the 3rd house has to do with your community and your communication and friendships and your siblings and short distance travel and things of that nature. Your 4th house, this is your home, this is your parents, this is your upbringing, this is your family, this is everything that has to do with that. And then the 5th house here, this is your children, this is your creativity, this is the house of fun, these are your this is your sex life right here. This is your like casual sex life. So all of this right here is indicated by that. So this is how a professional or experienced astrologer can go in and really be able to identify details about everything. So each of these houses represents an area of life that we each go through, and the planets here can show an indication of how and what type of things that each individual will go through and how they will go through them, and your attitude about them and your emotions about them, where you will shine, what things you need to transmute and get over and transform in your life, what things you'll have delays and restrictions and setbacks behind, how you communicate, how your intellect works, what kind of shocking things might happen or unexpected things that show up, how eclectic you are, how you love, what is your love language, how you give love, how you receive love. So each of these represent something. So this is a natal wheel, and so we'll get into a lot more of this. We will break this down into something that is bite-sized and understandable, but this is the basic natal wheel. You can get this online. If you come down here, it tells you all of your planet placements, the degree, sign, and minutes, longitude and latitude, and all of that stuff on where everything was placed. And then this little chart right here is really important, but this is more advanced astrology. This is how an astrologer can make predictions. This is how an astrologer can really know the details of how things operate in your life, is by this little table right here. These are the aspects that each of these planets make to each other in this natal wheel, which is also what these lines right here are for. These lines are basically showing you what these things are saying. So we'll cover this stuff, the aspects and everything, in another video, but I just wanted to show you guys this natal chart so that you can get a general idea. So the ascendant is always over here on the eastern horizon. It was the sign that was rising at the moment that you were born. In this person's case, that sign was Virgo. So when they entered into life here, into the first house, they are walking through life through the eyes, through the lens, in the shoes, in the jacket, in the path of the Virgo. Okay, so even if you're a Scorpio sun, which this person is, right? They're a Scorpio sun sign. So when people meet them, oh, hi, what's your sign? Like, oh, I'm a Scorpio. But this person's life path and this person's view and the way that this person sees things and the way that this person experiences everything in their life is through this ascendant sign, is through this particular energy. So I hope that that makes sense. So one of the things that I will say in all of this, and especially why I feel like it's important to bring this to you guys as my tribe, is because I am all for the healing and the positive forward movement of a person. My work revolves around inspiring women through movement to reconnect to themselves, to step into their power, to use movement as a way to come back and center and ground into the body. And so with all of these things like coming into astrology at this point, it really does feel like, why not use it as a blueprint to learn, yourself? If nothing more, then take it for what it is, understand these qualities and these components, these innate energies that you're born with, and that's all they are. It's the energy. I feel like that whole concept of what do you bring to the table, right? This is it. Your natal chart is what you bring to the table. This is your drama, your baggage, your personality, how you give and receive love, the type of things that you're going to be into, where the most of your physical energy lies, how you approach work, how you approach home, what kind of mother you're going to be, what kind of background you came from. All of this can be seen from the natal chart. So in taking all of that, we can really learn something about ourselves, about the people in our lives, about how we react and respond to things. And I genuinely believe that awareness is the key to forward movement. In any program, the first step is like the admittance, the acknowledgement, the coming into this awareness of, so that now you can move forward and direct your path accordingly. Like, it's wisdom and knowledge, and as one of the people that I like to watch says, it's priceless knowledge of self, and it is. Know thyself really is the key. It's really important to your growth forward. So if you are on a healing journey, if you are trying to really understand yourself, your relationships, people in your life, how you move through life, what you're good at, what your purpose is, all that stuff, y'all tap in, come back and see me. As I'm learning, I'm trying to put it into a really good way that's understandable and that makes sense. And so as I digest that, I definitely will be here to share that with you guys. We're gonna go through the planetary placements. I'm probably just gonna start with my chart and then move through some of the charts that I have. So thank you guys for being here. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. If you hear that, I appreciate you, and I will see you guys in the next one.